do with the Lucian in his hands. Now, the final pickup for Vitality B will be their support, very likely to be one of these harder gauge supports. Leona, Nautilus, it's really a player preference.
Yeah, personally, I prefer the Nautilus into Zeri. Just a point and click makes it far easier to have that follow-up, and it becomes very simple to then, especially if you take things like the Glacial Augment, it's like, hey, big do not move field around you, which means you can follow up relatively easily with things like the Nocturne, with the Ahri, and try and make just the living hell, essentially, for B.
It suited very well. I think as well, this Renata is just one of the better ones it goes into. Like, you love having Renata, you love being able to kite back, but the enemy has a dive income position, so this would just be a great pick coming through. And Rox, remember just last game, he had an amazing performance despite falling to Vitality.
Yeah, I think either this or the Yuumi are probably your two answers. It is going to be locked in with Renata, and I agree. I think it kind of rounds out nicely what Fnatic are trying to do here, right? Which is you're trying to kite back, use the Veigar to create space, use this ultimate from the Renata to create space, and try and protect Bean. And it kind of feels like nearly the flip side of what we actually got from the last game, where it was Vitality B trying to absorb that pressure. But now we've got to see if Vitality B can actually be the ones to play aggressive and get the ball rolling in their favor.
So Fnatic playing back, trying to kite away. So what's the flip side of that one for Vitality?
Well, their team fighting can suck, especially if they fall behind, okay? So that's not what you're looking for. You need to get Skenda ahead. If this Lucian falls behind, you pretty much just got two, not per se low-range champions coming into the team fights, right? But you're going to have to play into the hostile takeover, the Veigar cages, all these beneficial tools that Fnatic Team Queso will now have in their kit.
Yeah, and I think as well, getting set up on objectives early. You need to be here first as Vitality, because if you're allowing Fnatic to get established in these river situations where they can set up the baby cage, they can set up these things nice and easily, and you don't have multiple flank angles, that's where you're going to struggle.
All right, so we need to see Vitality on those objectives first, which, to be fair to them, game number one, they certainly did it with the Drakes. We'll see if they can do it on the top side of the map as well as we head into game number two. And Vitality B now on this blue side to kind of match their name in a weird way. So far, so good in the series. It took them a long time to get a gold lead in game number one, but that didn't seem to matter.
I have a feeling, though, Vitality B are going to have a lot more tools to try and look for that gold lead here in this game, though. You got good push in mid, you got Shigenda on the Lucian top side, so then you can start to look for early roams, and this starts to become a bit of an issue now for Fnatic, where because you don't actually have control of the top side, Skeens can very quickly get to 6, farm his way through it, and then start to make these aggressive plays.
And speaking of control, due to the fact that Oscarina now has been forced to start E, Shigenda can actually get really aggressive in laning phase. He can walk up behind the minions, and all Na can do is only trade with his auto attacks, which Shigenda is perfectly happy with. He does not have the Q to trade with, and that's why you can already see in lane in top side, Shigenda, he's getting aggressive.
Yeah, deep in that top lane, but was warded. So Shigenda will be spotted out there. No cheese will come of that one. Despite being against Team Queso, won't be able to find the cheese for himself. His Vitality.
I wonder how many have made that joke before.
I know, it's very original. You know, back when I used to cast other games, Queso has been a team in Europe for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
I've made these jokes before, just on other broadcasts, so nobody knows. So I managed to pull my dad jokes out more than once.
See, I always just see the TQ, I'm like, te quiero. I'm like, you know, it's very nice. It's, I love you in Spanish. And like, that's all I read every time I see Fnatic.
Ooh, good dodge away there by dodging out on the piercing light, but it's just a small range that Na has. Trades really effectively for the Lucian into him because he's one of the shorter range champions. Doesn't really matter when you're playing up against a Na. Another thing I think that will matter in this game is the mid lane priority. If Diplex is able to get the push and they move it up towards the top side, the fact that you'll have Skeens when he hits that level 6 to just come in for a tower dive, Oscarina, he's going to be playing his best weak side shoes later.
Yeah, I mean, Oscarinen's going to have his work cut out from here. It really does feel like all the attention is going to be going up to that top side. Because realistically, like Jessica and Jack Troll are perfectly fine to just sit here. Yes, you will get the push under tower for Bean, but once Jessica hits level 3, he can kind of counteract this. So a lot of this attention early from Vitality B is going to be up here. And then you got to look at Maxi, who didn't get the leash at the start, so he's going to be a bit slower on this clear and how he can actually try and influence these lanes before Skeens hits that level 6.
And we can see up in the top lane, Shigenda already being so aggressive. He has the counter pick to work with. And I want to talk about the top laner stats a little bit here, because coming into today, I don't think many people expected an Ornn pick in game number 1. I think they expected carries, right? Because when we look at Shigenda and Oscarina, like, Oscarina has really, really good stats, but Shigenda tops them. Like, especially that XP deficit, that is insane.
It's literally, I like this. but I like this better.
Yeah,
That's what we have here on the side from Zygenda. Oscarinian is an exceptional top laner. Zygenda has just been performing a little bit better, and we also saw some of the stats in the pre-game, which is that he averages more than 1 solo kill per game, and that's absolutely crazy. We're talking not facilitated, just him on his lonesome.
Yeah, I have to say though, Oscarinian just reminds me of the Shy. Like whenever I watch this man, he's just like, I'm a push lane, I'm probably going to die at some point here, but that doesn't matter because I'm still going to come out with these massive CS leads, I'm going to come out with this massive gold lead, and I think that's why you're seeing that like little bit of a lackluster performance when it comes to the experience difference, because, well, he's not always in lane because he's had to reset because of a death.
I think that's one of the weird things about top lane that a lot of people at home might not necessarily understand, is that sometimes there are good deaths, as the Baus would say.
As a true LPL cast.
But it's also the most punishing lane, and in a laner like Zygenda and Oscarinian, if they start falling behind and the team has to give them a lot of resources just to be even again, then you're out of the comfort zone of what they usually do. We've already talked about it, right? They love moving around the map as a kind of 3-man unit, jungle, mid, support. But if they suddenly have to play bandage duty, well, that hinders them at getting aggressive at the sides they want to.
See on the bottom side here, we'll be able to grab himself the Scuttle Crab. Obviously, the top Scuttle went to the side of Skeens here. It's going to be even CS, but Skeens has already gone for that reset. It's a nice little hook in the bottom side as Rooks trying to deny this wave. I think with an Ignite, that might have been a kill, honestly.
I mean, look, Vitality B just want to reset. Rooks was hoping that he'd be able to keep the wave away from towers so Bean could get a lot of these minions, and it worked, right? Now, actually, Jack Troll...
Oh, Jack Troll's in trouble. No, he's not. He's okay. He walks away. Never mind.
Yeah, because I was going to say, Rooks is going to reset anyway, Jack Troll is going to reset anyway, so a little bit slower on it, not the end of the world. I think the big one was Bean actually getting to get that reset in, still pick up the CS, and he's going to be in a great spot now. Sheen picked up, you're looking at Jeskla having those 2 longswords on the opposite side of the tier, so you should have Bean and Rooks, at least if they can get a little bit of this poke down, maybe look for some kill threat with Maxi.
And this game right now feels very quiet before the storm coming through here, but I feel like we're just waiting for Skeens on that level 6. Like, he's out in his second clear right now, we get them on the third clear where they hit that, that's where the action will start coming through, and once again, getting that mid lane priority, moving that priority around the map to get a tempo advantage, that's really what we're looking for Vitality. And from the side of Fnatic Team Queso, well, you want to keep Rock stuck on the tower, you want to play around this Vega and the event Horizon.
All right, well, you're telling me we've got quiet before the storm here. I see toying with the idea of starting to Drake off. I'm going to take this opportunity to talk a little bit of narrative for you guys. It's music to my ears when I get the chance. Because we talked a little bit about Vitality wanting to face K-Corp in a semi-final, but it's true for Fnatic Queso as well, because while this may be the first time Fnatic are playing from the Superliga, it's not the first time that they've been up against K-Corp as an organization. When you think back to last EU Masters, they made it to the finals. They went 5 games, Fnatic versus K-Corp. Maxi, Bean, and Rooks were all on that lineup. They would love an opportunity to face K-Corp once again.
I'd love to see it too. You know, that's also in my wounds. I was watching my region die. So there's not only just, you know, for the Spanish fans, they're also carrying my fan into this one. But so far, Vitality, they just have been that little better, but I think, as we mentioned earlier as well, Fnatic Team Queso, their early game has been way better than we've seen in groups. They have really stepped up to this quarterfinals.
And I also think, like, it's not only the fact that they've stepped up, but it's also been kind of quiet from both sides, right? Like, I've looked at both these teams and thought they're incredibly fast, especially Vitality B, right? Like, you look second in gold difference at 15, with nearly 2,000 gold lead. You look at them first for first towers, well, tied first at least. They're like third for tower plays. This is a team that likes to get very active in the early stages of the game, but as you can see, cresting the 7-minute mark, we're not really getting much going on, and it does feel again like we're waiting on Skeens to hit 6, Diplex to have control of this mid lane, and that's when we're going to see Vitality B explode onto the map.
I feel like that was one of those things where it's like, are you telling me the fact, or are you trying to persuade yourself here? Because it's like, there's a really proactive, really aggressive team. We're kind of like, just like poking them, like, do something.
Okay, so here's what I'm expecting at least. We have 1 minute until Rift Tower spawns. Currently, Vitality B has the bot lane priority. If they can continue with that, they can move Jack Troll out on the map first. With the jungle pathing currently coming through from Skeens as well, he's moving up towards that top side. He's going to be hitting 6, already has hit level 6. And now it's where we want to see the machinery work. Yes, there we have it. Bot lane crashed, Jack Troll up in the mid lane, get mid prio, set up for the Herald, and potentially have a fight in a bit.
Yep, Herald up in 30 seconds. Game number 1, we saw basically no contest from the Herald, right? Basically just went over with very little answer. And this time it's Vitality up on that top side. It was Fnatic who started off with the Heralds in game number 1. Vitality, maybe it's just a blue side thing.
I gotta say though, Fnatic like very kind of late on these resets. You can see Rook's only now resetting, which means he won't be here up on the top side. So Askernan gonna lose out on a good amount of CS, knowing Jack Troll is in the area. But they also can't try and make a cross-map play here. So it feels like Fnatic kind of losing it on both fronts.
Yeah, Jack Troll here just to make sure Askernan is zoned away. We talked about Shigenda's stats earlier. We saw the massive XP difference. We also talked about Jack Troll's stats and his lack of duo proximity. It's because he likes to roam like this, but Askernan wants to punish him for it. Has the ult, slams him against the wall. Culling comes out, but it does nothing against this Gnar. That'll be Herald for Fnatic unless Diplex can do something more. Backett in the brush here, gets charmed, bit of damage out. It's not going to be too much though, and that should be Herald secured. Maxi gets the smite. That's 2 games in a row that Fnatic control top side.
Shigenda and Jack Troll just stuck around too long on that top side. They needed to fall away. They'd already crashed the wave. Look for the Herald. Look for the actual neutral that you wanted to pick up, but instead they end up getting caught out by Fnatic, and now it's Fnatic with that Rift Herald. Now it's Fnatic who are able to get a bit of gold in their pockets.
Yeah, and you know, we were talking about those late resets, but the late resets were favoring the Herald's respawn time are way better. And as we talked about here, Jack Troll and Shigenda just getting too aggressive. Jack Troll does have flash here if he wants to try and get away from it, but it's already too late. The rest of Fnatic is already here from the rotation, so despite Vitality being first, they kind of fumbled what they wanted to do. Yeah,
and honestly, you could see Diplex as well there because he rotated into the river, didn't have priority mid, and that meant that because Shigenda and Jack Troll weren't DPS in the Rift Herald, you had time for Backett to roam across and actually establish himself in river as well. So, bit of a fumble there from Vitality B, and Fnatic, as we said, have been doing a really good job of actually playing the map far stronger than we've seen in groups in this playoff series. I'm glad to see that we're getting it again coming into game number 2.
See if they can keep that momentum going though, right? So far, gold just about even. And we're looking at where Maxi is going to place that Herald, because game number 1 went up towards Askernan, right? Feeding that gold into the gangplank. This time around with a Gnar top, doesn't feel like that's the place to be.
I feel like you can just have it around mid lane or bot lane. I think mid lane is great if you want to open it up later in second Herald. You also have Drake coming up in 1 minute. There's so many tools right now that Fnatic can use to gain more pressure on the map. And it just feels like Vitality, there's not too much they can do to answer it. All the plays are in Vitality's hand right now.
Yeah, I think for Fnatic trying to get this through. I think for Fnatic, I think the best place to try and use this is on bot side though, because when you look at like Zeri, she's your main source of damage, right? Like you can try and get back a Fed, but realistically he's going to burst one person out and not be able to provide that DPS. You're really reliant on being ahead with this composition, and I mean Fnatic can crack open this mid lane turret, try and get some pressure here mid with the Rift Herald, but I think Bean would actually be the better benefactor of this Herald.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Maxi's going to drop it, at least for now. Drake coming up, though, in 5 seconds' time. So far, all of the objectives going the way of Fnatic in this game, and they'd like to keep that ball rolling with a Mountain Drake here. Fnatic already on the scene. It feels like Vitality toying with the idea of a contestation here. Jack Troll trying to move on in, but Maxi, he's got this Drake low already. That's going to be taken before Vitality can find the fight. But even and they won't even find anything off the back of it.
Even if a fight breaks out, you know, it's perfect position for Rox to just put out the hostile takeover. You have good disengage as well with Barker with the Event Horizon. So once again, just seemed like Vitality, they were there to watch. And now the play is once again in Fnatic's hand. They have this Herald and they might just do what Rob said, use it bot lane.
And this is clean from Fnatic.
Yeah.
Like, when you look at who had the early tools, Vitality were the team that had them. Now it's Fnatic who are turning the play around. They're going to be able to make the higher value play in the bot side, getting more of these plates. Jack Troll not able to connect the hook as well means that they can't really get the follow-up here, Vitality.
Okay, bit of a hook back onto Jack Troll. This time Knockup turns this play around. Askeens tries to finish someone off, but it's a bailout to keep Maxi alive. He doesn't have the damage. He can't turn it around. Bean has to flash away, and Vitality find an answer for those plays.
Yeah, and I can't say that I've been impressed with Fnatic's bailout usage so far. It feels like you can get more aggressive. You had a really good hostile takeover once again, but they are a little bit of hesitation in their plays, and it allows Vitality to pick up at least 1 kill to remain competitive in a game where Fnatic has gotten so much so far.
And it's just great from Fnatic, right? Like, look at the Eclipse that's already been picked up by Jeskla. You don't have the mythic answer for Bean. Just from a sheer damage point of view, Vitality have more.
And look at this from Jeskla. Really, really nice QE at the end there to stop Bean getting his reset off. It means he's going to be super late back to this lane. He'll miss an extra minion wave for that one. Very nicely done by Jeskla, who basically evens the amount of plates that have gone down thanks to the Herald.
Yeah, and look, this is just greedy here. It's a nice handshake, right? But as Gilbert was kind of saying, you get Jack Troll super low, you're backing away Here's the Viego. Rather than just going super aggressive, bailout does come through, but Jack Troll was the main target that they tried to invest all their damage, and you can see Jeskla, with everyone grouped up like that, is getting so much value out from these feathers.
Yeah, and once again, it just goes to show why they have so much priority on this side. They first picked it last time, they first picked it this game as well on blue side. It's a champion that does very well into what Fnatic has in their toolkit.
And it feels like this has kind of been the story of the Fnatic team when it comes to EU Masters versus what we saw from them in LVP playoffs, right? When you look at them statistically here, like in every category, we're looking at Drakes across the game, when we're looking at the kill deaths at 14, when we're looking at gold difference at 14. They haven't been able to perform here at EU Masters in the same way they could domestically. Maxi maybe going to try and look for a chance here onto Diplex, but looks like Diplex will be fine. He'll just comfortably 2v1 them, you know.
This
just
is Diplex's comfort spot, okay? 2 versus 1. Haha, I got him right where I want them. And they're forced to back off. They get the pink ward instead. But to go back to your point as well, yeah, Fnatic in LVP, they look more confident. They look more consistent. In groups, they've been tested quite a bit more by teams who are not afraid to go forward.
I keep on. I feel like there's been a couple of situations this game where it looks like it's going to be more. Here it is. We finally get the action as Shigenda goes for the culling. One more hit will do the trick. There's a charm from Diplex as well. But Baka keeps him under the tower. Forces the flash from Diplex. Shigenda finishes that.
Take a bow, Shigenda. That was beautiful underneath the tower and so well orchestrated by Vitality. This is what has made them a standout LFL performer at EU Masters. These side lane dives, beautifully communicated, beautifully coordinated, and outstanding execution.
And I was about to doubt why they picked this Lucian top. I thought to myself, maybe this has become an ego pick, but it's plays like this that lets you appreciate the fact that they do come through. Diplex as well on the tower, juggling these abilities so well, then flashing out with a flash afterwards. And as you said, gorgeous by Shigenda. Relentless pursuit, piercing light, as easy as it can be.
And I remember when they nerfed Piercing Light's range many eons ago, and everyone was like, oh, well, you can't snipe with it anymore. And then Shigenda was like, ha, hold my beer.
Well, they did buff it a little bit again to shut you down.
They did. But still not as good as it was.
It doesn't fit in the narrative.
Still not as good as it was.
Doesn't fit in the narrative.
I'm trying to hype up the players here, Gilborg.
Sorry, Shigenda, you are great, buddy.
He transcends the patches.
Hey, look, Shigenda is doing wonderful. He's got a 30 CS lead for himself. He got 2 kills for Skeens. He got a dragon in 45 seconds.
He's
and
Danish.
if you can start to roam down, I'm saying good things. If you can start to roam down here to the bot lane, you can actually look for this dragon as well.
All right, it's safe to say that Vitality synergy a little bit better than the caster synergy we've got going on so far today. Oh dear. But I will say, Vitality B this time around, they're the ones with the gold lead. This time around is Fnatic, the ones with the Drakes. It feels like we've had a complete role reversal from game number 1.
Yeah, and it's also due to the fact that Fnatic's win condition is suddenly what Vitality's win condition was the other game ago. It's almost like they switched to Nocturne and switched to a different kind of strategy of playing the side lanes all of a sudden from Vitality. And now Fnatic, I do believe they have what we call the easier execution to execute as well in this team fighting scenario. If they can keep this Drake stacking going, well, they should be looking in a better and more comfortable position than last time.
And that's why I think for Vitality B, right, I think it is that kind of side lane pressure that we need to see very close there. But I really want to see if we can get like Shigenda rolling on the side lane. It's something that we've seen countless time from Lucian top, where you can now use Skeens as this like secondary support, look for picks onto Skirnin and underneath the tower, and because you turned off the lights, it makes it very difficult for Baka to try and follow up, Maxi to try and play both sides of the map when you've got Skeens with the semi-globe.
And look at this, Fnatic Queso are just going to take the 3rd Drake here. It's going to be an Ocean Soul on the map. And Fnatic going to put themselves to soul point. Vitality B just completely opting out and saying, look, in 5 minutes time, that's when we'll pull the trigger.
But the problem for me is that you're opting out by just playing standard lanes. And in a situation like that, it's like you need to capitalize on the side lane turret instead. You need to apply some pressure. It's a complete even map state, and Vitality, they haven't got too much.
Ooh, Jeskla, last possible second with his ulti there. Wrong direction, so his feathers won't be able to come back. And he's pulled into the death throne there by Maxi. Very nicely done, and B will finish off the first turret of the game in the meantime. Feels like Fnatic winning everything.
They're just playing the map so much better. Vitality, as Gulberg was saying, they didn't think of our keyword of the day. They didn't cross map for the dragon. They didn't do anything while that dragon was going down. Then you get the play into bot side because Jeskla wasn't respecting the fact that they're on the bottom side of the map. And now Skeens will get the Rift Herald, but bot lane tower kills onto Jeskla, the 3rd dragon as well. Fnatic are running away with this.
Yeah, Vitality, they need to find a play soon that kind of accelerates generates a gold lead for them, so they're ahead of the curve. Because if you go into a team fight even against the composition of Fnatic, you will just lose. And I'm so tempted to throw in the statement that the team with a better team fighting composition will just win our games in today's series.
Yeah, and look, I think we got to come back to like, hey, look, the gold lead is even, right? So why would they win in a team fight, right? It's when you look at how Fnatic, because they're able to get control of the map, how they can set up for these objectives a lot easier, where you're able to get back to set up as a front line with this baby cage, stop Shigenda from getting access to backline. Diplex can't dive to follow up with Skeens. You don't get the opportunity to play your composition as Vitality if you can't get to these neutrals first.
We'll see if Vitality can find their way towards that next Drake, but I've got a feeling Fnatic are going to have something to say about it. Harold charge on the mid lane, won't quite finish this tower off as Oscarinen pushing away as far as he can, just jump straight onto Diplex, wants the 1v1, and Diplex does not win that one. He's only good in a 1v2, not a 1v1.
That is fair. I mean, look, you got to get the buff, but Jack Troll in a 1v way more.
Oh dear, that's not the place to be.
he's
Bean
out.
uses the ult, flashes over the wall, goes to the 2v1. Shigenda going to be exhausted here. Bailout onto Bean as he's just going to walk away with his life. And Jack Troll finally punished.
And even on the map right now, Vitality, they're just not winning. It's Fnatic with the better rotations. Really recall from Jack Troll in River, immediately punished by Rox, who just flashes forward with a handshake.
And it just feels like, to me, Skeens, despite the fact he got these 2 quick kills, hasn't been able to put himself in a position where he can answer this aggression from Fnatic. And a lot of that is, one, coming down to the vision control Vitality B have, but also just the fact that you can see there, Skirnin backing away from the tower, not allowing him to impact the trade that Fnatic are winning out on the top side of the map.
But also just look at the map right now. What does Vitality, realistically speaking, have, right? There's no vision control in their own jungle. It's so easy for Fnatic to walk around. Like, they've got no way to know when to cross map because they have no information as to where the Fnatic members are before it's too late.
It's a tough one right now, and we'll see if that vision situation is going to improve. A lot of blue wards on this top side of the map, but there's enough vision there for Fnatic to maintain some semblance of control. Baron going to be up though in 15 seconds, and I feel like neither team necessarily in a position where they could just brute force it.
Well, this is the thing, right? For Fnatic, you've actually got some really cool options now because of the amount of dragons you have.
Ooh.
Because you want to be in a position where you're always forcing Vitality B to play into you, you can actually trade position on Dragon for position on Baron, because Vitality B have to fight the Dragon. They can't give an Ocean Soul across. So for Fnatic, if you end up in a position where Vitality, like now, get pushed in mid, get to establish themselves in the Dragon, you just trade that for Baron, and there has to be a trade for Vitality where they try to play into you, and suddenly your composition is actually at a positional advantage as Fnatic.
But that's also in that one moment where Vitality can maintain the Dragon control, because now that the members are coming off reset from Fnatic, they're the one who's grouped around the mid lane. They're the one who's getting that push in. They're the one who can now move into River and apply their own vision to get control over this Drake.
It looks like Fnatic are basically saying, we could put you in a lose-lose situation, or we could just fight you for the Drake because we're better at fighting than you are. They're managing to try and muscle their way into the mid lane here. They don't have bot priority though. Diplex managing to push that wave very deep in the bottom side, and it does buy space for Vitality.
Yeah, I think for Vitality, this is where you're going to be all right. Like, you have yourself established, but they need to look for flank opportunities. A front to back favors Fnatic so well, and Fnatic are just calling the bluff here.
Just going to go for a mid tier 1. They can back off up towards that Baron as well. Drake not up again. Remember, 20 seconds until that one comes up. So Vitality, they still need to get that next mid wave before they can move over to the
In
Drake.
League, you make your moves based on the waves coming through, and right now this is the wave where you push it in and then you go towards the Drake. So Fnatic can push it in, can even try and get the turret, and then they move into the River to try and contest Vitality.
See if they're going to find anything here, as Jack Troll has been pretty keen on his cues across the game. Oscarinen turns into Meganar, looking for Diplex. Is he going to make the flash play here? Doesn't look like he'll pull the trigger, at least for the time being. Fnatic move into the river. Yes, he will. Onto Jeskla. Feathers come out, though, and he's forced to flash away. Jack Troll slightly wide on the hook, as the culling not going to be able to cut through this Fnatic roster. Shigenda there on the front line. Maxi tries to get the stun. It's all at arm's length so far from Vitality, which is how they want to fight these fights. Jack Troll close on the hook as well. Shigenda now aggressed by Bean. 1v1 between the AD carries, and one of them's a top laner. Maxi trying to get into the pit here. Drake down at 2k. Keep your eyes on Maxi for the smite. Forget Maxi. It's all about the team fight here. Bean fell down, but it does doesn't matter to Fnatic as they go back onto the Drake. They look for an Ocean Soul and they take themselves a huge advantage. Oscar Innen still wants a little bit more. His ult is almost back up for cooldown again as he turns into Meganar, chases off Shadenda, but he'll look for Jestler and Swell. It's going to be 2 birds with 1 stone, or 1 bird and 1 dragon as Fnatic take the fight.
And Fnatic take it so incredibly well. It looked a little bit dodgy at the start, where you have Fnatic trying to brute force their way in here, and this is where I got worried. You see, Baka going down with the Event Horizon means that you've got multiple angles of attack for Vitality, but here's the problem. Being overextended, no front line for Oscarinen, and Vitality B collapse onto the AD carry, and with the DPS gone now for Vitality B, there's not much you can do.
Yeah, it's so difficult. That was your main line of engage that fell there. No more CC in the tank, and that just means even after the Drake has fallen, I mean, Fnatic, they can just run you down, and it goes back to the composition again. Vitality, you had to play side lanes. You fell too far behind before the Drake soul point came through, and then you opted into a fight where you had to take it. You're realistically going to lose at this point either way. So Fnatic, once again, the gold lead is completely even, but they have so much now that gives them the advantage with the Ocean Soul.
And you just get to keep pushing in. You just keep getting to do what you want here as Fnatic, because you can group up easily. You can push in this mid wave, group up and get the vision on this top side, consistently pressure on towards Baron, although...
Chance onto Rooks here for the side of Vitality, but Rooks is just going to survive everything they throw at him, and now suddenly it's Skeet's forced to flash away. Ziplex almost gets one shot here. Now Bean's 1v3! Bean! That was too much. That was far too much. Vitality find themselves a pick, or a pick finds Vitality.
I mean, that's just Fnatic now kind of in trouble, because Jack Troll not quite able to get onto Oscarinen, but you're still fighting at a disadvantage. So unfortunately, being mispositioning there and costing Fnatic.
But what does Vitality get out of this, right? It only gives you some extra breathing room. It allows you to clear your own camp, but can they push further onto the map? No, not even that, because even towards the bot side, you already have members of Fnatic who's posturing. On the top side, you have a wave pushing into you. So at best, what you get here is just some extra breathing room. Maybe Jess can get the mid turret, but this is still an advantage to Fnatic. The only reason it went over to Vitality was because Bean just decided to 1v3.
Oscarinen is in a bit of deep water here as Vitality have gone for a very deep play and they're forcing him away from the rest of his team. About to turn Meganar. Can he find the W? Can he find the transformation? There it is. Ult into the wall, but he doesn't find Shigenda. And it means he falls himself. Now Jack Troll looking for a knock-up onto Maxi. Rooks going to be dodging away that charm. Nice little flash coming out from him. Fnatic will survive the play.
Yeah, there's nothing here for Vitality to try and act on, though. No tower, no real position on a neutral, so they're just going to back away, but at least it does give them control of the waves for the moment. So the big question now is if they can keep this tempo advantage in their favor, keep Fnatic backed away, so they can set up for things like the Baron if they can get vision down for the Elder in 3 minutes.
Yeah, this allowed them to just have a few sequences of play. One member in Bean went down. Okay, we have like 30 seconds where we can act on the map. Now Oscarinen went down. Okay, more 30 seconds to act on. This is what Vitality kind of stays alive on right now, and because of that, they're able to pick up the bot lane turret, they're able to pick up the mid lane turret, then all of a sudden, they've actually accumulated themselves a little gold lead.
And I love seeing plays like that, right? Where we talk about this a lot in the LPL. Kills are objectives in themselves a lot of the time. And as you're saying, it buys you a lot of space on the map if you can find these picks. I love the creative play coming out from Vitality, not just saying, hey, let's wait for the Drake and 50-50 the game, still being proactive.
But that's the only way you win games as well. If you just sit down, back, relax, stay at your tower, just turtle it, hope that the enemy makes a mistake, well, you're not going to win. You have to be creative about it. So Vitality finding some leeway for that, but the creativity, you know, they need to stay on top of it because it's not going to be enough just yet.
I love this from Fnatic, though. They're basically calling the bluff here. Vitality, you have to try and play into this, and you're already
Oh, they just lock him up. Flash from Baka. Now come in defenders. There's going to be Baka going down as well. Put a shield. And Sonya's, he keeps himself safe. Once again, being going forward, being aggressive here. Has an Ocean Soul. Skeet's trying to finish him off. Rooks alongside him. The bailout isn't there, though, and now a hook onto Rooks as well. Being with too much. Oscarinen insane. Goes in with the Gnar ultimate. Baka trying to finish it off, trying to finish Skeens, but the damage just isn't there. Vitality B have found their plan B in this game, and they're back onto the map.
And what a massive performance from Jeskla and Diplix there. The feathers together with the Auri just settled so many members from Fnatic to fall down, and now with 4 members alive, only Maxi Lux for Team Fnatic Queso. Vitality, they might just take the Baron here.
Fnatic thought they had the pick. Fnatic thought that they were going to be able to get Shigenda and win the fight, but it's Baka and Bean who put themselves too far forward, and Vitality B spot them. With blood in their eyes, they take down the carries of Fnatic, and now Vitality B, they're back in the game.
And I feel like Fnatic were calling the bluff of Vitality, and Vitality was saying, we ain't bluffing, going aggressive. But once again, being so deep in these fights.
It starts out so well from Fnatic, sputting out the TP, and then it's just all the damage coming through Baka, flashing forward to secure that kill. But this is where it gets messy. Have a look at all the OE damage they're going to get that's going to come through from Jeskler's Feather here in this little chokehold. Because once again, it still looks good for Fnatic, and then the Eclipse and all the damage just comes through here together with the Ahri to just completely one-shot them. Have a look at that right there.
And again, it's to come back to that bailout usage. Like, not having that bailout because it was already used on Tabaka means that they don't have it for the Zeri, that miscommunication. Because you can see that this is the Zeri playing for because she thinks she has that bailout, but there's no help coming.
And on top of that, Skeen's ultimate, right? The paranoia denying Beam vision. So it's all about whether or not Fnatic can communicate effectively.
Yeah, 20 seconds on Elder Drake though here. Vitality, they have Baron up. They're pushing down mid lane.
Fnatic trying to answer, but with a bound up wave, Vitality have the inside track and Fnatic can't find their way in. Vitality B opening up the base here. And Fnatic, after having control all game, after getting Ocean Soul, can't even enter their own base.
I mean, Ascurian's been taking so long. Rox is gone!
Rox doesn't even get himself the bailout. There's a pick for Vitality. Diplex looking for more. Paranoia into the fight. Zoskarainen gets out with his own life here, but Beam left alone once more. Knocked up and will be taken down. Fnatic are falling apart and Vitality are completely in control.
Vitality have a minion wave they can push in. Skeens, he just needs to deny the backs. He stopped Oscar, he stopped Maxi, and Vitality, they're pushing in on the Nexus.
It can't be this again. It can't be a second game going to the LFL Spain. You had it in your hands. You've got to make the play. You've got to bring this game back once more. TP into the bottom lane. Maxi is spotted by Jack Troll.
Maxi has his ultimate available, has that smite available. Baka using the Predator to get positioning here. But remember, this is a 3v5 right now. Oscarinin, Maxi and Baka have to make the impossible happen.
Rux is on the way. This dragon is still so healthy. It's starting to add members to Fnatic. And Vitality B have been tanking the dragon. Can they make the pick? Diplex is hovering right there.
Vitality, they're still waiting for their cooldowns, but Fnatic, they have all their ultimates up and ready, so they need to be proactive here. They need to pull the trigger.
Bean is on his way as well now. You've got to do this, Vitality. You've got to make the call. You've got to make the engage. You're running out of time.
Bean is just staying in the base. Bean is calling Vitality's bluff here. Just going to go and clear the supers. Rux moving on forward. That's going to be the ulti in. Engage from Jack Troll. Shigenda on the backline, but Jack Troll, the only one to fall here. By Fnatic, manages to find something. Bailout comes out onto Baka, trying to survive, but Diplex turns golden. No reset there, but Fnatic on top of the fight. Maxi takes a shutdown. That'll be Elder.
How do they bring it back again? Just like that, Vitality B, they stick around too long at the Elder, and now it's Fnatic who are going to get the objective. Skeens doesn't have a way into the pit. Jessica, can you make the hero play?
Surely not. 3k on Drake here. They should be able to secure it.
Jeskler trying to move in. He wants to make those feathers fly.
TP
but
into
all
the
he
base.
finds
TP
is
to the
route.
base.
Oh, it's a TP from Shigenda here, but Oscarinin is there to match, and he's got an Elder Dragon. There's nothing Shigenda can do.
What a crazy amount of sequence of plays we got there. They pushed in the mid lane. They backed off. They took a team fight. It was a stalemate about Elder Drake. But in the end, it is Fnatic that now comes out on top. And what a second game we have here. This shouldn't be possible.
I mean, this is the best hokey pokey I've ever seen, because they've been in, out, and I've been shaking all about. And Baka, you can see here, does get hit by a great hook, but Shigenda on the flank doesn't get the damage he needs down, zoned out by Maxi. And unfortunately, because Vitality B have been tanking up this dragon for so long, the health bars are too low. Bean can deal with the mid wave, gets into the fight, and it's just the health and numbers advantage for Fnatic.
Yeah, and for Fnatic, these extended sequences, they just benefit them as well. They have the Ocean Drake. The longer these fights go, the better for them as well. It's so valuable.
It felt like the Drake was essentially serving as poke for Fnatic,
yes,
right?
exactly.
For the whole setup there, Vitality just tanking the Elder Dragon and slowly but surely being whittled down. And now it's Fnatic Queso onto the map with an Ocean Soul, with that Elder Drake in pocket. It feels unfightable for Vitality.
And Fnatic starting to siege Vitality, trying to see if they can play around vision, but when everyone's grouped up like this, they're Skarnan and about to turn into Mega Gnar. It feels so hard to defend the base. A minute left on Elder, 2 waves that Fnatic have to work with, and it looks like Vitality B may just be able to hold on to their base before this Baron or this Dragon buff wears off.
That's the thing. Look at Fnatic right now. They don't actually have their side lanes pushing in just yet. They need to play in 2 lanes. They're only playing on 1 here. Because of that, they have to reset. They can't make more uses of the Elder Drake, at least for now. They'll have to go back with their reset. resets. They'll have to sync up the waves, and then they can try and go for these plays.
And this is a quarterfinal and a half. This is what I wanted to see between the Lifeboat, the last members of the LVP, going up against Vitality B. This is such a tight, close series.
And isn't it always like this with
I know.
Superliga and LFL? This is one of the oldest rivalries in the EU Masters. When, you know, Noah was saying it earlier, it's a long time since the Superliga won. LFL have been dominant for the last few years. And it feels like Fnatic are the last hope for LVP, but with only 10 seconds on the Elder, 30 seconds until Baron comes up, they're still going to have to work for it.
But that's the thing about this rivalry. It's been so heavily favored in LFL. LVP, the last time they made finals was 2018 with Mad Lions, where they won EU Masters. And now the next highest was UCAM last split. And Vitality want to see if they can knock Fnatic out before that.
Culling from Shigenda, very aggressive early on, especially against an Ocean Soul here. But Fnatic in position for the Baron right now. They could just move over and start this one up if they want to look for a fight.
The problem for Fnatic right now is that they still have that open inhibitor. As soon as a minion wave will come through the mid lane, they'll have to respond to it somehow. They'll either have to just say, okay, let's burst up this strike, let's force Vitality into us, or they might just be losing their base.
Looking for the Baron. Fnatic in the situation. Can they find the objective? Vitality taking the long way round, though. I feel like Fnatic could just burst this one, but they're not committing just yet. 2K on the Baron. We're keeping our eyes on the Vitality jungler, but he doesn't even go for it. It's just going to be Baron. Now Diplex into the play.
Oh, no.
Big damage coming on through, but he dodges everything. And there's the CC onto the Fox. And Fnatic pick themselves one. Jeskler now with no ulti trying to escape. Great route, though, from the flash. And Jeskler will survive.
And that's Baron now over to Fnatic. They'll be able to reset, and now the siege can begin proper. You won't be able to keep this Baron buff up until the Dragon is available, which they would love to be able to try and like play back into that, but the Baron will still help their siege massively.
Yeah, and once again, they just pull the trigger immediately on the side of Fnatic. They start up the Baron, and as soon as Diplex dashes in this moment, it's a decent Sonya's, but even with the ultimate afterwards, he dashes back into the bailout. And I mean, Frox, he's been so good on this champion throughout the entire series so far.
I mean, Diplex has been so good, but just as you say, unfortunate timing there. Now, Jeskler forced the flash as well to get the root to stop the follow-up, but now we've got to see what Fnatic can do. This is really the buff they need to make the siege happen, because there's such a short range composition, and Vitality B, they have great wave clear, so Fnatic will have to see how they're going to manage against this.
It's all down to Baka and Bean in these fights, and Maxi being that front line, having Rooks as the backup, knowing that they can be aggressive with not only the bailout, but the Ocean Soul as well, means you can go so far forward, you can do so much of the fight. It's difficult for Vitality to ever find an opportunity on someone, and especially when you've got like an Ahri and a Lucian, you kind of need to be able to burst someone.
Yeah, and the thing is, you keep saying it, right? It comes out in poke, it comes out in these small burst damage every time, and they're just able to regen it up immediately. There's just so many advantages for Fnatic right now that will allow them to try and crack open the base. But so far, they're still only playing on one lane. Fnatic, you need to start playing on two.
Just look at the gold right now. It's just like game number one, where the gold was basically even for the majority of the game, but Vitality were the ones to come out on top. This time, though, Fnatic feel like they're the ones in control as TP from Oscar in it.
But again, they've reset. A minute left on the Baron. They won't get any more out of this buff. They're resetting for the Dragon, and now Vitality B have established themselves in River. This could break open the game.
Maxi goes forward, it's going to be followed up. Jack Troll forced the flash, and that's a big flash. Nautilus not having a flash right before a crucial fight. That's going to be painful for the side of Vitality.
It just feels so difficult to fight for Vitality. Fnatic is first on the objective. They have the event Horizon. How are you going to fight this? Diplex, he's in the mid lane as well.
Maxi charging the stun, goes for it, but Scheme's great spell shield there, keeps himself safe.
Oh, no.
Diplex, he's going split Pushari right here. Baron recall comes through from Oscar and in.
He has no TP. He doesn't have any way to get back to this. Now you can have Diplex start to roam over, and Vitality B, they just have the numbers advantage as long as Diplex can get away here.
Baka just shy on the stun there, almost finds a pick for himself. Jack Troll over the wall, has head splash from Ember, so he's going to look for a flank for himself, but the mid play looks like has been squashed.
Has it? I mean, Ahri's going straight back.
Again, round two.
All right, Diplex back to the mid lane once more. Baka over the wall, uses the Predator. Shigenda. That was a quick QSS coming out from the man in the top lane now. Onto Elder. This is a 4v5 right now in favor of Fnatic. We've got Diplex just trying to end the game. Shigenda goes for TP. Jack Troll denying the recalls. Vitality, they don't want to fight. They just want to end the game. It's It's looking like a 2-0 as Baka desperately tries to defend. Diplex turns golden, keeps himself safe.
They've done it!
And
I can't
Vitality take 2.
How did the LFL manage that? How did Vitality B bring us back from the brink against Ocean Soul and win that game?
That's illegal. You cannot do that. You had Soul, you had 2 Barrage, you had Elder Drake. My God, I can't believe that Vitality were able to pull through in that. And Fnatic, all you had to do, just keep the mid lane, bro. Don't allow them to push down the open inhibitor. Oh no.